All right, it is legal counsel time. Attorney Charlie O'Hara is here to take your questions. Pick up the phone, folks, 436-1212, and you can get your legal questions answered for free. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming. Sure. Appreciate it.
A little warm out there.
Oh, is it warm enough for you? And real sticky out there today,
yes,
right?
Today
Did you notice that?
I did.
Well, we thought we'd start out this morning talking about the new speed limit that went into effect last month, up to 75 in some areas now. Now, Charlie, so we know 75, folks are going to push the limit and get to, well, who knows, 80, 85. What is the actual cutoff where you may not be able to get a ticket?
Well, the speed limit is kind of a prohibited conduct, which means whatever the speed limit is, you're not supposed to go over it.
Right. So if it's 75, 75.
75, there's really no excuse to go over it. I mean, sometimes people think, well, I'm passing or I'm doing this, I can go over it. It's something that's prohibited. If it's 75, it's 75. However, I think our law still applies that it's not a moving violation. In other words, it's not reported to your insurance company in a 75 or a 60 or a 70 mile an hour zone unless you're going over 10 miles over the limit.
Okay.
So people can push it if they're willing to pay the fine.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're not going to get stopped, but it won't count against their insurance.
That's why everybody says, oh, I'll only go like 5 over or 7 over.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's illegal to do that.
Exactly. But
it doesn't count against your insurance.
Your
so
insurance.
People tend to push it a little bit.
Yeah, because I think that's what they're most afraid of, is getting it on their insurance, a lot of folks.
I think so. You're right.
Thanks, Charlie. All right, we'll get to the phones now and answer some questions. Good morning. Thanks for calling. What's your question for Charlie?
Good morning. I have a question regarding what the legal definition of betrayal of trust is, and at what point could you sue somebody for fraud?
Well, those are actually separate issues. Betrayal of trust, the legal issue I think is pretty obvious. You're betraying your trust. Whether you can sue someone for fraud means is that they've actually tricked you into doing something that you would not have done, and they actually have to trick you into doing it. It can't be a misunderstanding on their part. They have to intentionally do that. And if they intentionally mislead you and cost you money or put you in a bad situation, then normally you'd have a lawsuit. But I think any action like that, I think you probably ought to check with an attorney. They're pretty fact specific in most cases.
All right, we sure appreciate you calling. Remember, you can call and ask us a question too, 436-1212. This is legal counsel time. Charlie, I've heard some other folks who had called to inquire, grandparents, and what are their rights when it comes to being able to see their grandchildren? Well,
they do have rights in Kansas under our statutes. They're somewhat limited, and you can go to court, and so the grandparents can actually see the children. Usually you're going to have to go to court. You know, usually that comes up in kind of a contested matter where a mother or father is not letting grandparents or one or the other see the children, so it usually comes up in a contested matter. Otherwise, you're able to hopefully see them in a normal relationship if you're a grandparent. But you can do that and go to court, but it's somewhat limited.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you all the rights that a parent would have or anything like that, but you do get to see them a little bit.
A little bit. What about common law? What are the common laws in Kansas?
Well, you can still be common law married, which means you don't actually have a service. I mean, you just agree and get into a relationship and have a marriage. It causes some real problems in court because people get into an argument about whether they were really married or not. You can have kids and not be married, but if you hold yourself out, use the same name, you're legally of age to get married, you're not married to anybody else or anything like that, then it's a common law marriage.
Do you have to go through an official like divorce when it's time to, if you split up?
Yes, you do. It's a real marriage, so you have to get divorced. So a lot of times there's a lot of contesting on whether you've filed joint income tax returns or rented places as husband and wife or opened up bank accounts as husband and wife, which is something to prove that you were actually married.
Interesting. Thank you, Charlie.
Sure.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Stay cool now. All right. Well, coming up next, we'll have entertainment news here, eyewitness news, all the KSCW. We hope you can stick around.